There's one more thing, Uncle Judy whispered, his voice barely audible above the howling wind outside. Emeka looked up from the glowing token, his heart already heavy with dread. How many more secrets could this night hold? Uncle Chidi's hands shook as he reached into his pocket one final time. What he pulled out made Emeka's world collapse entirely. A faded photograph of two young men, arms around each other's shoulders, smiling at the camera. But it wasn't just any photograph. "Your father and I weren't just business partners, Emeka," Uncle Chidi said, his voice breaking. "We were brothers, real brothers." Emeka's vision blurred. That's impossible. Papa never mentioned." "Look at the photo, son." Uncle Chidi placed it in Emeka's trembling hands. "Look closely." As Emeka stared at the image, the resemblance became undeniable. The same eyes, the same jawline, the same stubborn set of the mouth. His father and Uncle Chidi shared more than friendship. They shared blood. "We had different mothers," Uncle Chidi explained, tears streaming down his face. "Your grandfather was a man who loved many women. When we were young, we promised each other that we would never let the circumstances of our birth divide us. We swore to build something together, to be the brothers our father never allowed us to be openly." Emeka's chest felt like it was caving in. You're my real uncle, my father's actual brother." "And he betrayed me twice," Uncle Chidi said, his voice hollow with decades of pain. "First as a brother, then as a business partner. He chose to protect his legitimate family over the brother who had given him everything." The implications crashed over Emeka like a flood. This wasn't just about business anymore. It was about family, about blood, about a man who had denied his own brother to protect his son's inheritance. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Emeka asked, his voice cracking. "Because I foolishly hoped that your father had at least told you about me, that somewhere in his heart he had planned to make things right." Uncle Chidi's laugh was bitter as dried leaves. But even on his deathbed, he chose silence over truth. The wooden token suddenly flared with intense heat and both men jerked away from the table. The symbols on its surface were now glowing bright red, and the sound of distant thunder rolled across the sky despite the clear night. "The spirits are angry," Uncle Chidi whispered. "Breaking an oath to a business partner is one thing, but betraying your own blood, that's a sin that echoes through generations." Dawn was breaking over Umuahia as Emeka knelt beside his father's grave, Uncle Chidi at his side. The decision had been the hardest of Emeka's young life. All night, he had wrestled with anger, disappointment, and the crushing weight of truth. His father, the man he had idolized, the man whose approval he had spent his life seeking, was a coward who betrayed his own brother. But as the first rays of sunlight touched the barren earth, Emeka understood something profound. He could not change his father's sins, but he could choose not to repeat them. "Uncle Chidi, no, Brother Chidi, I want to make this right." Uncle Chidi's eyes widened. "Emeka, you don't have to call me. You are my blood," Emeka interrupted. "You are my father's brother, which makes you my true uncle. And more than that, you are the man who sacrificed everything for our family, even when we didn't deserve it." From his pocket, Emeka pulled out a document he had spent the night preparing, a legal partnership agreement making Uncle Chidi a 50% owner of Okafor Electronics. "I'm not giving you charity," Emeka said firmly. "I'm giving you what should have been yours 25 years ago, what was always rightfully yours." Uncle Chidi's hands shook as he took the paper. "Emeka, son, I don't know what to say." "Say yes, uncle. Say you help me build something worthy of our family name, the right way this time." As Uncle Chidi signed the document, something extraordinary happened. The wooden token, which had been glowing angry red all night, suddenly pulsed with warm golden light. The oppressive feeling that had hung over them like a curse began to lift. But the real miracle came when they looked down at the grave beneath their feet. Green shoots were pushing through the cracked earth. Not just grass, but flowers, beautiful wildflowers in colors of gold and red. As they watched in wonder, the barren plot transformed into a garden of stunning beauty, more lush and vibrant than any other grave in the cemetery. "Look," Uncle Chidi whispered, pointing to the headstone. There, carved into the stone as if by invisible hands, new words had appeared beneath Chief Nnamdi Okafor's name. Beloved father and brother, his promise fulfilled. Tears streamed down both men's faces as they embraced beside the blooming grave. Around them, other families visiting their loved ones stopped to stare in amazement at this sudden transformation. Your father's spirit is free now, Uncle Chidi whispered, and so are we. In the months that followed, Okafor Electronics flourished like never before. With Uncle Chidi's experience and Emeka's fresh ideas working in true partnership, they expanded to 3 locations. The curse was broken, but more importantly, a family was reunited. Uncle Chidi moved his wife and children into a comfortable house near Emeka's. They shared Sunday dinners, holiday celebrations, and the deep joy of belonging. Emeka had not just gained a business partner, he had gained a father figure who loved him without the burden of guilt and secrets. And every Sunday after church, both men would visit the grave that had been barren, but now bloomed eternal, reminding all who saw it that some promises transcend death, and that the bonds of blood and brotherhood, once broken, can be made even stronger when we build on truth and sacrifice. The women who once whispered about crests now spoke in hushed, reverent tones about the miracle of the blooming grave. Children would come to see the beautiful flowers and ask their grandparents to tell them the story of the oath that was finally kept. The greatest inheritance a parent can leave is not wealth or property, but integrity and honor. Chief Nnamdi's betrayal of his brother's trust and his refusal to acknowledge his own blood created a curse that only truth and sacrifice could break. Emeka learned that sometimes being a good son means correcting his father's mistakes, not perpetuating them. This story teaches us that our word is our bond, especially to family. When we make promises, whether in business or blood, we must keep them, or the consequences will echo through generations. But it also shows us that it's never too late to make things right, and that sometimes the greatest courage lies in admitting when we are wrong and taking action to fix it. This story reminds us that our reputation is built not on what we promise, but on what we deliver. If this tale of brotherhood, betrayal, and redemption moved your spirit, share it with someone who needs to remember that family bonds are sacred and broken promises can always be mended by those brave enough to honor them. Subscribe now for more African folktales that will challenge your heart and teach you the true meaning of family, honor, and keeping your word. What promise in your own life needs to be fulfilled?